What's up, Group Coach Nation? Hope you guys are well today. So I got Simon Meadows here today. Here's the reason Simon and I are jumping on this episode today is because we were talking recently over on Simon's show and his audience, and like Simon really focuses on coaches and consultants and experts, like all of you guys, but really in that space where people are like kind of getting disillusioned. Like I have so been there in the past. You know, you kind of get into this whole coaching thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to have so much money and so much free time. And then all of a sudden you realize, wait, who lied to me? So Simon like focuses deep into like, let's get consistent 10K months. Like, let's get it up and running. Let's get knocked out. So Simon, dude, thank you so much for hanging out.
No problem. And it's great to be here. And thanks for the introduction. Yeah, something we're so passionate about, both of us. So great to have you on, be on the show.
It really is something we're passionate about. And here's why, like the passion for me, and Simon, I don't know about you, but for me, when I first started coaching or consulting, and obviously folks, Group Coach Nation, we're here for the group coaching mastermind building piece of your coaching life. But when you're first starting out or you're trying to get like things up and running, that 10K month thing is kind of this magical number. And believe it or not, once you get there, you're gonna be like, oh wait, that was it? And you're gonna quickly jump to 50K months, then 100K months. It starts going up from there. But you just gotta like get that first like run going, because then all of a sudden you have the momentum, wind in the sails. I don't know, Simon, like why is that such a big deal in your experience with all the folks you coach?
Yeah, I think there's one core problem that I faced, and many of the coaches that are going to be listening to this and I work with face, is that we spend way too much time when we get started fumbling and stumbling around doing all the stuff. We're creating content, we're building things, and what we don't focus on is getting our story straight. We don't get our message right, and we don't connect to people. So we say lots of things, but nobody's listening. Nobody's actually putting their head up and saying, this guy's saying something really important, or this lady's saying something different. It's just wasted. Too much time on the stuff is definitely the first cause of that.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. You guys hear me say this all the time here at Group Coach Nation. Simon, I say this all the time. Sell before you build. Like you got to freaking get a client, and then you can go out there and start building and making content and creating all kind of buzz, whatever. But if you're not cash flowing, you don't have a business. Like call it what it is.
They don't just build it. They keep tweaking it and trying to get it right and trying to get it perfected. And and then nobody's there to buy it. Such a waste.
Oh my gosh. Preaching to the choir here, Simon.
Yeah. The other thing for me was the story, getting that message right, getting the story, because we all think that we're experts. We all think we're great at what we do, and we are. Yeah, we're really good, but we need to get that hook. We need to get that story that people connect with and say, I believe that this person understands my problems, has a solution, and I give them credit for being the solution provider, at least in that first instance, to be able to have a chat with them. And most people don't get that story or that hook right. And that lets them down, because again, they're just copying and pasting what everybody else is doing, and they're not standing out from the crowd, and they're not getting that story connected.
That is so true. Like lean in on what Simon's saying, because like truly your logo doesn't matter when you're trying to break a 10K month, and you're really your URL, like which of the 20 URL options you should pick on GoDaddy while you're out there just like dream, it doesn't matter. Like people are buying from you, and anchoring who you are and what you're bringing to the table, because you're offering something hopefully that you're not the first person in the world offering. Like if you're the only one out there and you can't find anybody else offering what you're offering, I promise you somebody else has tried and failed a bunch. There's nothing new out there. So you're offering what somebody else is already offering. That's just the way it works, folks. But you got to stand out. And that standout is not because your logo's cooler, your website's cooler, your Facebook group is cooler, whatever. It's because people connect to people.
And for me, the other part of the story is really important, Chris, because many coaches see themselves as the hero. And Donald Miller mentions in his book, Building Your Story Brand, we're not the hero. We're the guide who enables the hero to undergo the transformation in the story. And if all we do is talk about ourselves. I have a saying, we do all over ourselves. Very often in our content, we just we do this all the time. The story has got to be about our client, our prospect being the hero of the story. And we're just the Obi-Wan Kenobi to the Luke Skywalker, the donkey to Shrek. We're just the guide that enables them to be the amazing hero that they need to be. And that's also really important in getting that story straight and getting it right.
Well, I love that. Okay, so Simon, on any of these points, like if somebody's like sitting here watching, listening, whatever, like, okay, guys, I hear you. I'm not ready to launch a mastermind yet. Like,
Yep.
I know that's what Group Coaching is all about. We're all coaches, consultants here. I just like freaking need to get like 3 clients and get this thing rolling. Like, where do you recommend people just start? Like, what do you got to do?
I think the first thing for me, and I'm a big Donald Miller fan anyway, I would grab a copy of his book. I'd read his book, and I'd go to mystorybrand.com and fill out the framework for the story. Get your story absolutely nailed. The other thing then is to overcome the 3 great fears that many coaches and consultants have. And very often we think it's lead generation that comes first, but actually most coaches get paralyzed by their service delivery. How am I going to deliver it? How much am I going to charge for it? How will I work with a client when I get them? And I think that fear, that first of the 3 great fears, paralyzes them. And that's why they turn to doing the stuff, because creating all the content is that comfort blanket that they need. And what they really need to do is have confidence that they've got something that they can deliver. So get the stories straight, deliver the framework of what it is that you're going to sell to people. And then the next thing then is to start generating leads. Get those leads in and just ask. So, just say to people, I've got this thing that solves this problem. Would you like it? And sometimes that simple ask gets you started.
I love that.
So it would be my top 3.
Those are really good. Okay, I'm going to work my way backwards to those. So just ask. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't tell you how often we just simply ask people if we can help them and they say yes.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever see anybody do that. And we actively teach that process here at Group Coach Nation as well. Like, it's really not that hard.
Yeah.
Be a good person out there in the world. Let people know you're legit and you're doing the right stuff. And then ask people who you think need your help if they need your help. Yeah. It's shocking how many people say, yeah, can you tell me more? Okay, yeah. We're off to the races.
Yeah. I have that question so many times asked, and people say, I've seen coaches that are doing 100K a month, and I'm stumbling around at 3K a month. What's the difference between it? What are they doing that's so great? What product are they buying? What course are they doing? And I say the biggest separation between you and them is that they ask way much more. They're asking every single day, multiple times a day. And it's not just saying, I've got a thing, do you want it? You've got to connect it to the problem that they have. So if you can say, if you've got a problem with this, I've got a solution, do you want it? However you shuffle those around, just ask more. It's the most significant factor that will separate the successful coaches from those that are struggling.
Love it. Okay, so let's break down point number 2, going backwards here. Point number 2 is that framework. Like, what are you going to actually deliver? Because you're right. A lot of people do get kind of paralyzed with, I think I'm an expert in this. I think I could help people with this, but what if I can't? Or what if they say yes? Then how do I, do I have a framework? Do I have slides? Do I have to hire a person to help me? Like, how do you help people get their brain around that?
The first thing is to get the onboarding process. If you can get a coach to see what the first few steps are that they'll do with a client, that's a big thing, because that's the one thing that they're most fearful of. They're not worried about things in a year's time and losing a client there. Now I've got them. What do I do in the first session? So having that onboarding process, just those simple things of showing the client a journey, etc., that works really, really well. I think the other thing, particularly for me, this has been a shift. You and I had this conversation before. I'm a big fan of getting people into groups and coaching in groups, and it's the best way to scale your coaching business, even if you're below 10K. And I used to believe that you had to do one-to-one coaching. You had to earn your stripes there first
Yeah.
before you went to masterminds and group. Absolute rubbish. You can go straight for the group, straight for the masterminds now. So don't be frightened at looking at that framework. Am I going to do one-to-one? Am I going to do group or masterminds? And then just make a decision and just give people one or two choices. This different levels. I've got to give them 5 different programs. Confusion loses sales.
Yeah.
Just give them one program, perhaps even give them a choice of perhaps a lower level or a higher level, whatever it is, but keep it really simple.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Love this, Group Coach Nation. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Isn't this what we talk about all the time, folks? You don't need to do the hard to scale trading dollars for hours. Like, go straight to the group. And before we jumped on the recording here, Simon, you and I were talking about how coaches so often think that pivoting to a group or mastermind is less valuable than
Yeah.
one-on-one consulting coaching. Let me just define that for everybody real quick. When we say pivoting or pushing your prospects to a group or mastermind, we don't mean sending them to an e-course where you show up once a month on a Q&A call. No, that's an e-course, okay? We mean like where you're actively showing up week in, week out with a group of people. Instead of handling them week in, week out, one-on-one, you're doing it with 5, 10, 15 people at a time.
Yeah.
That's way more valuable than one-on-one. I don't know about you, Sam, but
Absolutely.
I don't actually hire one-on-one coaches anymore. I only pay for me to learn in masterminds.
Yeah. And if you go to my website, I say now I'm not doing any more one-to-one coaching. I think I tried group coaching some years ago, and I've been a coach for 13 years now. And about 10 years ago, I gave group a go, and it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work, Chris, was because I decided that the group coaching program was the bottom run of my product ladder. Yeah, it was $97 a month, and people were in. I had a good number of members, but it was hard work for me. I was giving so much, but it just wasn't giving me a return on investment. So I didn't put much effort into it. And guess what? It didn't do too well. As soon as about 5 years ago, I looked at group as being the higher value. So now people pay more for the group than what I was charging for one-to-one, 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I sell it as a higher value because I believe it is. Offering things like Facebook groups, coach on tap sessions, high value content, more access to me. If you're in a group, you get more access, more value, more content than you would ever if it was one-to-one, because you just can't handle the number of one-to-ones.
So true. There's a lot of details and stats around this too, Simon, that we actually as humans change 5 times faster in groups than we do one-on-one. And like, just knowing that, I don't know about everybody else listening in, but when I'm in a really well curated mastermind where the host has done a good job picking the people in the room, I learn more from the room than I do from the host. And in the masterminds that I lead, Simon, I don't know about when yours, but the ones I lead, I know for sure that the people that join our mastermind learn more from the other people in the mastermind than they do from yours truly. And I think that's so important to note as a coach, as a consultant, whatever you call yourself. You never want to be the smartest person in the room, and the group collective should be smarter than each of us.
Yeah. And usually the people in the room, I'm a member of a mastermind, and I jump on these sessions. It's an Australian group, so it's really silly o'clock for me sometimes. And sometimes I just go in there just to listen, because when they're talking about their problems and some of the things that they're having issues with, they come up with the fixes, but they've actually gone through the process of fixing it. And people are willing to share. So you're absolutely right. And I just sit there and I listen, and I get so much value from just writing notes down about, I hadn't thought about that. I'll do it this way, do it that way.
Yeah.
I would gladly pay the amount that I pay, even if the coach wasn't there, because the people, the only reason the coach is there is to facilitate the discussion and get people talking and get people working.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
to guide that. Yeah.
Hey, since we're on opposite sides of the planet, like literally, I think Simon is literally almost about as far away as you can get from where I am right now. If you drew a line straight to the core,
Yeah,
I think we
possibly.
find each other, and we find ourselves in a big hot mess of lava too. So, what did your like? Just talk through the experience of coaching and working with clients internationally, because here at Group Coach Nation, we work with a lot of folks, US, Canada,
Yeah,
from Hawaii basically over to the western seaboard of Europe, Spain, Portugal, Africa, South Africa, quite a bit.
yeah,
But we don't work a lot with folks in Australia, New Zealand, and that whole half of the world because the time crunch, right?
yeah,
How do you handle that? Like from an advising standpoint, like what are your practices? Because you work a lot with US clients.
yeah. I think the first thing you've got to ask is people's permission. And
Uh-huh.
what I mean by that is I'm going to use dollars, I'm going to use euros, I'm going to say pounds, I'm going to talk in rand, and just get people's permission to say niche or things like that. Because the language you use for me has always been a thing that grates people a little bit.
Hmm.
And I'm here in this country and they're not talking and mentioning things and pronouncing things like I do. So I always start by, when any cohort starts or when people join in the onboarding session, always get that permission to talk internationally and globally.
I love that.
Uh, and that's really, really important. I think the other thing then is to respect the cultures
Hmm.
and the facts, particularly in South Africa, that they do have different cultural differences in how their economy works, exchange rates.
Hmm.
They have perhaps different ways that they behave and react to different things. So I actually do a little bit of research and join some online groups, perhaps some social media groups, and look at how their behaviors are and just bear that in mind. So I have a few cheat notes when I start sometimes. They just give me a little bit of things that I should say and shouldn't say, things that
Hmm.
I should do and shouldn't do. I wouldn't dream of sitting with a client who's on a call from Japan, for example, and put my feet up on the desk and show them the soles of my feet, because I know that is very rude.
Right. Hmm.
Um, so I know that's quite an extreme example, but we need to do I think we do need to do a little bit of research to actually put ourselves into the shoes of the people that we're working with and understand them a little bit. And I think that's very respectful.
Can I just say how much I love that whole attitude of approaching people, period? Like, that is so refreshing to hear another human say, how do we approach someone else with respect?
Yeah.
If that was the only thing we said today in today's episode, that would be like absolutely worth it. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we all can learn from that.
I think one of my favorite words, and I've heard it in a networking group today that reminded me, is kindness. Because our definition of kindness has so many different aspects of being pleasant, of trying to help, of being respectful. So I think if you can actually be kind to somebody, then that's a two-way stream in that relationship, and that works really well. So just be kind to people. I don't
Mm,
think you'll ever go wrong if you're kind.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, folks, let me just mention real quick, Simon, I got two more questions for you, but just real quick.
Please.
I should do sponsorships. Today's episode is brought to you by Coach Success Group, Simon's Facebook group. No, for real. This is Simon's Facebook group. So if you're trying to crack that 10K a month mark and
Yep.
you're sick of the hype and you're sick of people taking pictures in front of Ferraris and you just want somebody who's like for real, like here's what to do, let's get started. Go to coachsuccessgroup.com and that will forward you right to his Facebook group. And that's a great place to hang out with Simon.
Yeah.
You can also just Google Simon if you want to and find more of his website and stuff like that. But Simon's best way to interact with you is coachsuccessgroup.com.
Yeah, and there's resources in there. That's my place where I give everything unconditionally as well. And it's interesting you say for Isaiah. If I just move my screen up, yeah, my best thing is what's that side there? My Lego model. Yeah, I love my Jeep Wrangler. So anything Jeep, anything off roading, that's my thing. So you won't see me definitely stood in front of a Ferrari, but you might see me stood in front of my Jeep Wrangler with
Oh, I
lots
love
of
it.
mud, lots of mud.
I have a Defender 90, a Lego Defender 90 sitting on a bookshelf right over here.
Yep.
I tell you what, we've covered a lot of good ground today. Everybody at Group Coach Nation, you should go look at the Lego website and look at like the stuff you can build. They have kits for adults. Find your passion. You can
Yeah.
build it in Legos. It's so therapeutic. It just like calms you down.
But the thing, I mean, that's my first ever Lego model up there. And the thing I found, Chris, was the whole concept that somebody has taken a real thing,
Yeah.
they've built a model of it, then they've dismantled that model into small, tiny, tiny pieces that even I can understand. And then they've given me a manual which says put this piece with that piece, then put that piece with that piece. Yeah, if we could do that in our coaching and consulting businesses, that's really, that reverse engineering is such a valuable lesson. And
Hmm.
lo and behold, at the end of it, there it was, the model.
That's brilliant. That's a really good analogy. And that's
Yeah,
what you'll find at coachsuccessgroup.com. That's a really good analogy. I love the way you explain things. Huh.
yeah,
Okay. So next, the last two questions, and then I know we
yeah.
got to go. So last two questions. How would you recommend someone who's like, I'm thinking about group coaching, or I'm thinking about really like diving deep into more of this one-on-one coaching or done for you service?
Yep.
Like, where's the line where you're like, hey, this is for you or this is for you? Make a decision.
Well, that's a great question and a difficult one to answer. I think you've got to look at your personal style.
Hmm.
If you are a person who can join a conversation and listen to different people and talk to different people in that conversation,
Mhm.
then you're probably going to be a good fit for group.
Mm.
If you're a person that doesn't like being perhaps asked two or three things at the same time, or you're a person who really isn't a problem solver and you like to deliver to a lesson plan, then one-to-one is probably going to be something that you can keep more control of.
Mm.
But the alternative to that, of course, is some mix between the two. And I know you've mentioned masterminds and the different formats of masterminds, but sometimes that does allow you to keep the group format, but still have an element of control as well. But
Yeah.
certainly, I think if you like talking to people and jumping in conversations and problem solving, which most coaches do, in fairness, group coachings and masterminds definitely for you.
I love that. Okay. All right. Last question. If you're going to say, look, folks, if this is you, you should not be doing any kind of coaching, consulting, or specifically group coaching. Like, is there
Mm.
if you like serving this audience, if you like solving these kind of problems, if you like, or don't like this personality set, is there somebody you could be like, look, I just want to save you time. Raise your hand if you're like this. Don't go down this path. Not to exclude people, but
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
all been down the path of getting excited about a new marketing venture, a new idea. We put our heart and soul into it. It doesn't work. And then we feel like so bad.
yeah. I think there's that's a great question. So there's two parts to that. I think if you don't like having conversations with people, full stop. If you think everything can be done online without ever having to speak to somebody, generally in coaching, that's going to be a problem.
Mm.
So that's it. I definitely try and find something different. From a point
Yeah.
of view of um, if you have a passion for helping people, then coaching is a great thing. But if you're in it for the money, if you're in it for the glory, and you have no core belief and passion to actually help other people and to make a difference and have an impact on them, and it's all about you.
Mm.
And I've had a few people that have started coaching for that reason. They've heard it's a great thing, they can earn big money, $1 million a year sort of thing. But if you're not about helping the people, then it's going to be a short-lived success. You might get a quick success, but it's going to be a short-lived success. Go and do
That's
something else.
really good advice. I would second every bit of that. Really good advice. Hey, somebody from LinkedIn asking a question here, Simon, for you, obviously not me. Are there
Mm.
specific small business differences in Australia, New Zealand, as opposed to the US? Is having a personal brand business different in Australia or New Zealand? Obviously, there's different laws and tax issues and stuff. I'm not talking. I don't think this person's
Yeah,
asking that, but
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, how do you
yeah.
brand differently in those two scenarios?
To be honest, around the globe, I don't think there are many differences at all.
What's up, Jody
Uh,
Anderson, by the way? Good to see you.
yeah.
Jody's awesome.
The thing with the differences between countries, I think we're a lot more of a global society and a global business than we've ever been before. So there are core similarities, and those are getting bigger and bigger all the time. So you can certainly do business in any part of the world with those core similarities. From a branding point of view, I don't think it's about where you are, it's who your audience is. So try not to think about where you're trading from or from where your business brand is, but look at your audience. What is it that they want to see? What is it that they are used to seeing? Because we all have our different styles, and those styles have got to fit with our audience. So don't try and become somebody you're not because you think you've got to fit the geographics. Try and make sure that you look at the audience and what they're looking for, because
That's
that's
good
where the
advice.
slight differences are.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I would add to that, again, because we work in multiple people groups from around the world.
Yeah.
We're not, here's my take on this. I'm going to give you two takes. One is we don't work a lot in Australia and New
Yeah.
Zealand, simply because the time zones are so wildly different.
Yeah.
It's hard. We we teach our masterminds at 9:30 a.m. Central and 11 o'clock a.m. Central, different days of the week. And we have our Australian and New Zealand friends falling asleep on Zoom calls because like freaking 2 a.m, you know?
Yeah.
So we've just simply segmented our market in a way where like, I don't think that's the best thing for those participants. They're not gaining as much as our
No.
folks who have a better time zone connection. The other side of that, though, I think more directly to this question is like people are there's nuances, like Simon's saying, to our cultural differences, the way we do business, but people are people. And the
Yeah.
more you travel the world, the more you realize, oh my gosh, these people just want the best for themselves, their families, their communities, and their businesses.
Yeah.
They just want to connect, right? And they want to make a difference. And that's such a human condition that's just awesome to see everywhere. I think the same
That,
person here. Sorry, Simon, go ahead.
yeah, they're just looking for solutions to the problems or the wants, the aspirations that they have, and that's common across the whole world. So it doesn't make any difference. But time differences, again, that's looking at the audience. What are the needs of the audience?
Yeah.
That's where the difficulty comes, definitely.
And absolutely, I want to answer this question. Okay, right now it is Tuesday morning, 10:40 a.m. for me. Simon, what time and date is it for you? It is April 12th for me when we're recording this.
Yeah, well, where I am at the moment, yeah, it's still the same day, but it's at the end of my day. So we're about as we're doing this, it's 4:45.
Oh, in the afternoon. So where are you right
Yeah,
now?
yeah. At the moment, I'm in the UK.
Okay, yeah. So it's easy.
Yeah,
See, we work a lot with the UK. Yeah. So
yeah.
yes, but to your question there on LinkedIn, heck yeah.
It would
Every
be there
time I
tomorrow.
interview or talk to anybody in Australia, I'm like, so time travel works.
It
What's
is time
tomorrow like?
travel. I was going to say that. It does feel like your time travel.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah,
But it's got to be crappy for you guys in Australia because we're like living in the past. You can actually tell me how my next day is going to be usually. That's a
yeah,
huge advantage.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They've already had their breakfast, and I'm just eating my evening meal, and yeah, looking forward to breakfast.
I definitely believe the earth is round. I know some would disagree with that, but I truly wish it was flat because it would be way easier if we were
Yeah.
all on one time zone on the entire planet. That would be
Ah,
so easy.
now that is definitely another topic of that. When time zones change, particularly with Australia, the gap gets wider.
I know.
So, and that makes such a difference. You know, I got a call that should have been at 8 a.m. and now it's 10 a.m. because it's 2 hours difference. I only changed my clock by 1 hour, but they went backwards. I went forward, and
Ah,
we're now 2 hours different, more than we were
it's
before.
so messed up and annoying. I think here
Yeah,
in the States, we're like, I don't follow politics very much in the States because it's just kind of messy. But as you would know, anybody in the world can tell you, yeah, U.S. politics are a mess.
yeah.
But I think they're like voting on keeping all of our time zones the same, like locking it in
Oh,
and just not making
so
a mess
easy.
of it anymore. Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
And they do it at different times as well. You know, the US do it a couple of weeks different to what we do it here in the UK and Australia.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Somebody just put there, if the world is coming to an end, please tell us in advance. Well, I did that at Millennium. I decided that I wanted to get as far back in time as I could. So I actually spent the Millennium in Banff in Canada because I thought if the world's going to end, I want it to end for everybody else before it does for me.
That's an awesome idea. Well, you folks watching in, thanks for the time conversations. This is way more fun. No, truly, if you're trying to break that 10K mark per month, then like in your coaching consulting business, like lean into Simon. Again, website for him, coachsuccessgroup.com. That'll forward you to his Facebook group. You can join that at your leisure. And there is like all kinds of content there just to get you moving. All right. It's not a high pressure group. I know Simon, you're watching him speak right now. Obviously, he's not a high pressure guy. This is a, hey, you're stuck. We get it. We've all swallowed some lies in the past. Let's just shoot it straight and get the real deal done. Anything else you want to say there, Simon?
No, I think you said it all right there. And yeah, as I think I said just before the recording started, sometimes our dreams become our nightmares, and we've got to make sure every coach doesn't turn into a nightmare. And if we've done that today with just one or two, then we've done a good job.
That's perfect, man. I'm so thankful and grateful for you being here. Thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. As always, you hear me say this, and I'll say it again because I believe it. Do work, get results. We say that at the end of every one of the masterminds I teach every session. Do work, get results. Here's the secret. We're not here to teach you how to hustle and work 80 hours a week. We're here to teach you how to do the right work. Just zero in on the right work, like Simon was talking about, that Lego set that has the descriptions, has the instructions, click this block to this block, then this one to this one. Just do the process, but make sure you're leaning in on someone you can trust to show you the right process. If that's group coaching and consulting and building your high ticket mastermind, we do that at Group Coach Nation. If you're breaking that first 10K month, reach out to Simon. Like, we got you. That's why we're here. That's why the guys like us and girls like us, that's why we build this stuff. We build stuff. All the experts at Group Coach Nation, there's thousands of people in there. Simon has a huge audience as well. Everybody in there is helping people do better things. That's all there is to it. Simon, again, buddy, thank you so much. Dude, thrilled to have you on.
Been a pleasure.
All right, everybody. Talk soon.